Hello, my friends. Last week at faculty meeting, we were talking about standards of proficiency, levels of proficiency, and towards the end, we talked about kind of a to-do list or a list of reminders. So what I wanted to do today is walk you through some of these, show you how to get to them, show you how to do them, provide you with the support and the resources you need to be successful as you use these items. First of all, if we want to go and start with the CSIP, we can access the CSIP now through PowerSchool. And so if you go to PowerSchool and you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see a link for the CSIP. So you can just click on that, and then that will pull up the CSIP for you. And then from here, you're going to be able to specifically get into Math 6 or LA 6 or LA 7 or Science 6 to put your information in, to plug your information in. While it's loading here, the CSIP isn't necessarily a one and done document. It's not a document where you're going to throw all the information in right now and leave it there, because you don't have all the information right now. If you want to put all your GVCs in here right now, that would be completely and totally appropriate, but you wouldn't actually finish a GVC until you had actually completed that GVC learning cycle and you had the data to plug into the CSIP. So here we are, and we're going to go here to 2019-2020 Fossil Ridge. We're going to go over here. We're going to select a course. Let's say we select World Language, and then we're going to go over here and we're going to select Spanish, and it will pull up the boxes where we're going to put our information. Now, a couple of things. First of all, right here you will see the link for the Team PGP. That is a Team Professional Growth Plan. So as a team, what is your goal for the 2019-2020 school year? What is the one thing that is going to drive your work this year? What is the one thing that you are focused on far more than anything else? And then you're just going to type that in right here, outline Team's Professional Growth Plan right there, and then you will submit that and save that. So first item we need to take care of on the CSIP is to create and enter a Team PGP for every team in the building. Once that's done, then the process of putting in your GVCs will begin. So here I'll just click on GVC number 1, and whatever GVC number 1 is for our particular team, we're just going to type it in right here. Hello, and whatever my GVC is, okay? Now I can actually go in and enter every single one of my GVCs. So if we as a team have created 5 GVCs for the school year, we already know what those 5 GVCs are. We already know what the learning targets are that go with those GVCs. Then you can create new tabs that look just like this one for GVC number 2 and GVC number 3 and GVC number 4, so that you would have all of your GVCs and learning targets already entered into the CSIP database. What else is here? Well, it's like it's always been, and for those of you that are new to us, I'll show you. So right here is, whoops, it's going to make me push save, and I don't think, there we go. So if you click on this, you're gonna click all of the learning targets underneath GVC number 1. Okay, so up here is our GVC, and down here are the learning targets specifically linked to that GVC, with the CFAs, or the Common Formative Assessments, for either the entire GVC or for some of the learning targets, other learning targets, whatever it may be. And this is just where your data will go. So we give a CFA and we have 400 kids that were assessed. And out of that 400 kids that were assessed, we have 22 that were not proficient. Okay. In here, you could put some more information as a team regarding that data, regarding the assessment, regarding standard levels of proficiency, any information that you think would be valuable to help us, look at the evidence, look at the data, and see exactly what happened. This is also a place where you could put your link to a Google Doc. Let's say your team would much rather put all this information in a Google Doc, share it with everybody, have each member of the team have access to that Google Doc. Then right here, you're just going to put your link, to the Google Doc. Right here, your link to the Google Doc, and then all you would need to do is you would never need to transfer that information into the CSIP because it would already be there in the Google Doc. The other items here for us to take a look at, we have intervention. So what were the specific interventions that your team used for those 22 students who were not proficient the first time? What did your team do for these 22 kids? How did you respond? After your response to intervention, how many kids are still not proficient? 2, 9, whatever it may be, and then the names or initials of those kids that are still not, even after multiple interventions, are still not proficient as it relates to that specific GVC and GVC learning cycle. How are you going to respond to those kids who still are not proficient? And then the last piece of the CSIP is the extension. As you plan for each GVC and the learning targets that are associated with that GVC, what extension activities, what extension plans, what higher levels of learning plans are you going to introduce to those students that got it the first time or that showed mastery? And that information, what you do as far as your extensions or in some cases maybe some of your honors offerings, would go right here. So basically what this is doing is it's taking you as a team through the big 4 questions. What do students need to be able to know, and what do they need to be able to do? What skills do they need? Question number 1. And we respond to that question with the creation of GVCs, learning targets, and standards of proficiency. We can't forget that. Then question number 2, how are we going to know if they learned it? How are we going to know if they got it? How do we know if they were proficient? Well, we answer that question through our assessments in our classrooms. Our assessments that we create as teams, our common assessments, both formative and summative, that we use to gauge the level of proficiency of our students. We use to gauge the success of our instruction. With ultimately, we're trying to take a look at are the students learning? Did they learn? Did all of them learn? Question number 3, obviously, is the intervention piece. How will we respond to those who didn't get it? What interventions are we going to put in place? What tier 1s did we perhaps use? What tier 2 interventions are we using during reach time? And perhaps we have to take it an even bigger step and use tier 3 interventions with some of our kids to allow them to eventually learn the material and be proficient with the material. And then finally, the 4th step, or the 4th question of a PLC, what are we going to do with those kids that mastered it? What are we going to do with those kids that were proficient the first time? What are we going to do with those kids that already know it or have that skill? And then at the very, very bottom, there is a spot you can see right here for team reflection. So we've gone through the entire GVC #1 learning cycle. We've done the assessments. We've gone through the interventions and the extensions. As we look back, as we reflect on that GVC learning cycle, what went well? You know, what went well? And specifically name those items. This went well. That went well. Those are going to be things that we want to keep and use again next year. Or if possible, those are items that we want to keep and continue to use throughout the year if they were specific instructional strategies that we found very successful. Over here, we are simply going to make notes of what we would change, or where did we have a little bit of struggle, or where did our students struggle? What areas might we want to focus on next time? So what would we change? What are the areas of growth for our instructional strategies, for intervention, for our formative assessments, whatever it may be, and we'll just make a nice little list of those and put it right here as well. And so that would complete one GVC learning cycle inside the CSIP. This only needs to be done after each learning cycle has completed. Okay? After each learning cycle has completed. So you're going to go in when we finish with GVC #2, then you're going to go in with your team and you're going to provide the information, the data, the reflection piece, whatever it may be, into the CSIP. So your CSIP isn't going to be complete until the end of the year. The only piece that you can have complete right now would be, all of your GVCs ready to roll. So this first part completed. What's our GVC? What are our learning targets? After that, you're going to respond to the other 3 questions during or after the learning cycle. Okay, so there's no due date when the CSIP needs to be done. Your GVCs and your learning targets should be on by October 1st. We've got to have those GVCs and those learning targets on the CSIP by October 1st so that district administration and the school board can look at them and say, okay, here's what Math 6 at Fossil Ridge has determined are the most important skills, and here are the targets that are going to go with that. Here's what Fossil Ridge Language Arts 7 has determined are the very most important skills in language arts that those kids need to have, not necessarily proficiency, not necessarily mastery, but proficiency in. So we need to make sure we have at least all of our GVCs and learning targets in by October 1st, okay? And then second, as I just finished saying, as you complete GVCs or as you gather data within the GVC learning cycle, that's when you will add those to the CSIP. And like I said earlier, if you would like, you can use links to Google Docs, and all your information can be housed in the Google Doc, and you can just continue to leave your link here for others to see. I hope this helps. This is a 15-minute time limit, so I'm just about out of time. I hope I've answered all your questions. I hope I've showed you this so that it is more helpful and that it'll allow you as a team to be much more successful. Appreciate all you do. You're awesome. It just goes without saying. Every day I'm just amazed at some of the things that go on at this place. So have a good rest of the day. Remember October 1, we need to get our GVCs and LTs into the CSIP. Other than that, we're good. We're good to go. Be excellent.